I'm straight, but I'm falling for my gay best friend. I really want to tell him. My name is Emma, and I've been best friends with Tyler for 3 years. We met in college and instantly clicked over our shared love of terrible horror movies and late-night diner food. Tyler came out to me within the first month of our friendship, which made everything easier because I never had to worry about romantic complications. But somewhere along the way, that changed for me. I started noticing how his eyes crinkle when he laughs, how he always remembers my coffee order, how safe I feel when he hugs me after a bad day. I know it's completely hopeless because he's gay, but I can't help how I feel about him. The problem is, Tyler's been acting really strange lately. It started about 2 months ago with these weird phone calls he'd take in another room. He'd get a text, his face would change completely, and he'd excuse himself saying it was family stuff. But I've met his family, and they're not the type to call constantly. Then there were the mysterious Friday night plans. Tyler used to spend every Friday with me, binge-watching Netflix and ordering Chinese food from that place on 3rd Street. Suddenly, he was always busy on Fridays, vague about where he was going. When I'd ask, he'd just say he was hanging with friends, but never invited me along like he used to. The really weird part was how he started acting around other guys. Tyler used to be pretty open about his dating life, showing me Grindr matches and asking for advice about outfit choices. But now he seemed almost uncomfortable when attractive guys were around, like he was forcing himself to seem interested when he clearly wasn't. Last week, I was at the grocery store and saw him in the parking lot with someone I'd never seen before. A woman with long brown hair, mid-20s, wearing a sundress. They were standing close together, talking intensely, and when she touched his arm, Tyler didn't pull away. Instead, he leaned into it. I ducked behind a car, feeling ridiculous for hiding from my own best friend. When I looked again, they were hugging, and it wasn't a friendly hug. It was intimate, the kind of embrace you share with someone you're romantically involved with. She kissed his cheek before getting into her car. That night, I casually asked Tyler how his day went. He said he'd spent it alone, catching up on homework assignments. A complete lie. I started paying much closer attention after that, looking for explanations that made sense, but finding none. Tyler's apartment, which I'd been to hundreds of times, suddenly had things I'd never noticed before. A second coffee mug in his sink when he supposedly lived alone. Long brown hairs on his bathroom counter that definitely weren't his short black hair. A women's magazine on his coffee table that he claimed his sister left behind, except his sister lives in Colorado. I confronted him yesterday, not about the woman, but about how distant he'd been lately. Tyler got defensive in a way I'd never seen before, almost panicked. He insisted everything was fine, that he was just stressed about finals, but his hands were shaking as he said it. That's when I decided to follow him. I know it sounds crazy, but I needed to understand what was happening to my best friend. Friday evening, I parked outside his apartment building and waited in my car. At 7 p.m., Tyler came out with the same woman from the grocery store. They walked hand in hand to her car, and she kissed him on the lips before they got in. A real kiss, passionate and familiar, like they'd done it 1,000 times before. I followed them to a small Italian restaurant downtown, the kind of place couples go for romantic anniversary dinners. Through the window, I watched them sharing wine and holding hands across the table like they were deeply in love. 3 hours later, they went back to her apartment together. I waited until 2 a.m., and Tyler's car was still parked outside her building. Now I'm sitting here realizing that everything I thought I knew about my best friend might be a complete lie, and tomorrow I have to decide whether to confront him about what I discovered.